Jen is a citizen of Heath who has volunteered to help us with our 50th anniversary. And she has accomplished quite a bit in a very short period of time. And I've asked her just to attend tonight and give us a very quick briefing on what she's accomplished. And also, I might add, we did have a Halloween event here. You just might want to.
Yeah, I'm going to give you just a report on that so that you can hand that out so that you know. I'm not going to go over this, so if you have questions about it, you're more than welcome to ask me anything. Because the main thing I want to do is just go over, I need one more, over the 50th. And you can write this down. All right. You can look that over while I'm getting this material off. This is our 50th anniversary update. 2, 3, 4.
I think I put a few pounds on just for
If I take one, I just need to take one. I can't count them for some reason.
If you're an English teacher, don't math these.
I know, that's right.
That's all. I'm going to give you a pass.
It's too hard. I don't have enough fingers and toes. Does everybody have a copy of the
Keith explained
50th?
probably more generous about giving her a copy after she gave you.
That's true.
Oh, absolutely. It works on mine.
Oh, meeting that was held on October the 20th. It was really an excellent meeting. I
Saw you
thought.
flinch when she came right over here.
Tom, I only have a few minutes, and there
She
ain't
only
that
has
much
4
time.
minutes left.
It's been 40 years, but you know, it seems like yesterday.
Anyway, October the 28th, we had our meeting. Everybody showed up, and I was very grateful for that. I thought the meeting went real well, and John, you can jump in here any way you want. I'm just giving you a list of those that are the foundation committee, and then from that, each group that's represented on here will form a subcommittee to work on one of the projects. The subcommittee projects that we have talked about so far, and if it's in blue, that means that those individuals have accepted responsibility for their particular group, or them as individuals, or their particular group to handle that part of it. If we have no name beside it, obviously that means that it's still open for groups to be discussing, and there may be some more projects. The meat of these different projects, though, is really the history. So that's the one thing that in our next committee we're going to be hitting pretty hard. As you see, the advertising is pretty well established. We've already got the logo, which you people approved, and Vicki Goodwin and John will be working with that on various things. Jen is going to be doing the website and the mailings to help us out with that part of it. The Lions Club said that they already work on the entry to Heath, and they would like that part of it. And I threw in Heath City Hall, and they can work with John Groff with that one. As far as the parks part is concerned, and the meeting, we'll have to talk with Bob about that and see what group might be willing to work with him on that. And then we want to also hit the city, hit the along 79 different places, the businesses, to try to get more beautification for next year. We have not started on the resolution that the mayor is interested in. However, we have the names of all the individuals who were either mayors or on council, and we will be having to do quite a bit of research. If the individual is no longer living, we are looking for a family member that would sign on their behalf. So that's the resolution. We did on E, the historic memorabilia, we had already put out in the water bill, and you probably saw that, a notification that if anybody has anything that's historic that they could bring in, that within reason, that we could put on display. The Campbells will be doing, you sell the windows out here, we can add another section to that if we have very much of that comes in. And we're also going to put plexiglass on the inside of those windows so that if somebody's got a valuable piece or whatever, We don't have to have the girls in the office constantly monitoring to make sure that nothing is taken, because you'll get smaller items. They can't do that now, but if you're getting smaller items that's a possibility. So Bob Campbell is going to work with getting plexiglass for them to be able to add to the windows. And we can extend those windows one more small section. But let's see, that's the memorabilia. And then the refreshments, then really today we made some decisions, John and I made some decisions. I talked with McLean Creations. She is a former graduate of Heath, and her family, her grandmother was actually one of the gals that worked in the cafeteria for many years over there. So it is a Heath family. I don't know that McLean's that McLean Creation Company is in Heath, but they have a lot of history with Heath. So we just kind of worked with that. They are going to be creating the cake and cupcakes at cost, which I think is, yeah.
Nice.
And she and her husband talking about doing should I tell them, a 7-tier cake, square cake, that each level of it will be some part of the city's history with the logo on top. It will be nice, I can tell you. When I was at the Shea House, I used when we had our grand reopening.
Stopped in to pick up one of the books today so that we can pick up the basic history. I told him you got the
Indians, you got the canal, and he wants to have each one of the layers do something like that, and the city becoming the city, and then of course all your industry and things. We haven't determined anything regarding the souvenirs, but we'll have a group that will be working on that, and then they'll be coming, and all of this will be brought back to that advisory committee. We'll just keep working from that angle. We had quite a good discussion about an anniversary tree or trees in reference to the planting of them and where to plant them. Taste of Heath can be one of two ways, as I told them, and that's the Rotary will kind of make that decision now, whether on that particular day they want to have different restaurants come out, fast food type things, and have a part that way, or we told them the other way that it could be is that they give us coupons, and then we do bags and hand them out so that people have the opportunity to. But we want to allow these committees these subcommittees or organizations to make some of that decision. Indian Mountain Mall, John, you want to tell them about that?
Indian Mountain Mall has offered space to us to, if we have displays of larger devices that we're manufacturing in Heath, or our memorabilia of Heath, to be on display there. They've offered to hang banners and support for 50th anniversary for us. So they've been very popular.
Yeah. And we'll utilize that. Even the window displays can be over a longer period of time here, or if we have to extend it, we'll extend it, over in that area. I think that would be great to be able to utilize that as a cooperative group. School art exhibit, we talked about that throughout the year of 2015. Different levels of kids. We can do some competition and recognize them by having their art on exhibit, have it a changing art gallery throughout the year, and give the kids certificates. And that could be done at a council meeting or something to that degree. Have it signed by the mayor. It was recommended today some kind of history tidbits releases every so often, which I think we should be doing, and I think I had thought about we'll do some stories or some articles anyway closer to the anniversary date. Hometown Heroes, the American Legion, which was Gary Weimer, who is in two positions there. He said he definitely didn't want to leave them out, and he wants to work on that aspect of it. And so we felt that there was no problem with that. I threw out an idea to Eddie at one particular point about the 50 fun things to do in Heath, and took me serious and got him, so we're using those. he really worked hard at that. Got lots of
He worked hard.
Yes, he did. He brainstormed got everybody else's brain going. But he's 4 short.
Well, attending city council meetings probably.
Yeah, that could be.
Yeah.
Maybe at the bottom.
But anyway, we handed those out, and we told the crew, think about it. If there's some fun things that maybe weren't covered, or some that were covered that shouldn't be, and just kind of throw it together. And the antique tractor, of course, Heath's history is all related to farming. And I just talked with one gentleman he's in connection with all the antique, 2 of them actually, antique tractor groups. And so I think they got us on their calendar. So that's a big possibility. You need something as a draw for that day, and I think that would be. I said, well, what if it rains? They said, oh well, so what? So as long as their attitude's that way, that's my attitude. I don't want to ask the car groups because they're kind of sensitive about those older cars, the antique cars. And if Brent, I haven't talked with Brent McDonald, but something like that. He has the one that was the McDonald was using at the McDonald farm. We could even take a few of these tractors over as part of the exhibit over to the mall. So that's basically the 50th anniversary update in a nutshell. Did I do good, John?
You did good.
Okay. Anybody have any questions?
That's good.
Anything?
Thank you, Jan.
All right. Thank you,
I'm
guys.
disappointed in you, Jan.
Why?
This E is
I know. I
and the rest
noticed
of
that.
it.
I was in a hurry. I just. But I have to have one thing to see if you're alert. Otherwise, you might have been asleep in this whole thing.
Thank you, Jan.
All right. You're welcome. Thanks,
Appreciate
guys.
your
Thanks,
efforts
John,
on
for the
this.
time and.
It's like a good group of people on the committee too. So that's
That is.
outstanding.
That was the first meeting. I think we will have a very good year.
Push that back.
The next item. LCATS is Licking County Area Transportation Study, and I have been the mayor's appointed representative for almost 23 years, and the mayor and I have decided that it's time for Eddie Hunt to step up and fill this position. It's very important because this is where we get all of our funding to pave or to modify or improve all of the roads in the state highway system within the city of Heath. We're talking millions upon millions upon millions of dollars. And Eddie is well qualified to fill that position. So about a month ago, he started doing it. So I expect great things from Eddie, and I think we will deliver. Just wanted to bring that up to date for you. The next item, you notice there's some construction going on next door, the old Wonder Bread store. Well, Tri-County Chrysler has purchased that property, and it's their intention to move their truck lot over there. So they're getting ready to do that now. I don't have a time frame, but the way they're moving, I think they want to get it paved here in the next 2 to 3 weeks, and then move in shortly after that. They've already done a lot of building improvements, painting it, probably modifying the inside. So that's good news. They're expanding. And coincidentally, I call it the old Dale Hoskinson house. It's the house on the corner of Clinton and 79. Dale Hoskinson's a longtime resident of Heath. He recently passed away. He was part owner of the bowling alley. His lot has been purchased for used car sales by another gentleman. So we're going to have within a 1 football field radius of City Hall several car lots to choose from. And one other thing that's good news in regard to expansion is there is a new garbage company coming into the city, Waste Away. You may have seen their trucks, they're kind of gray. They have established Heath as their business center, and they're constructing a building right next to Jay's Towing. And I think that's very nice. They're great people. And it's another good business to have in the city. So we're seeing a lot of small business expansion now, which is great. The mayor's been doing all this great work with big businesses. Well, his ideas also filter down to these smaller businesses. They keep on telling us they greatly appreciate the way that he treats the businesses in the city. And he makes the small businesses feel as welcome as the big businesses. So
Single hall thing, we didn't go to single.
yeah. Good point.
Is Waste Away, is that Seth Ellington?
It is.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
What do you say?
That's Seth Ellington's company.
His father's president of council in Newark. So, and he chose him. So that says a lot, yeah. Yeah, he's a very nice guy. Very nice guy. So, any questions on that?
Put up a nice steel roof.
Yes, yes it is. Mhm. It'll blend in with the others they have in that area. Item number 3, FEMA, Federal Emergency Management Agency. I might have mentioned this before, but this is rather important. Has modified or updated the floodplain maps for Licking County. And if you're an area that's within a floodplain and you own a house, you have to buy flood insurance if you have any kind of a mortgage. And that can get very, very expensive. Fortunately, within the city of Heath, there weren't any modifications, so we don't really have any changes within the city. And so our citizens will not have to pay any more flood insurance, which is very good. I just wanted to bring that up again, because flood insurance sometimes can be more than any other insurance that you have to purchase. And we're fortunate that we don't have that many areas within the floodplains in the city.
Every 10 years on that?
Every 10 years it gets revised. Item number 4, I call it a grass cutting report. Believe it or not, this late in the year, we're still cutting grass. And I have a grass cutting report here I'd like to give to Cletus. I gave a copy to Lynn too. If you could read that tonight, I would appreciate it. Also, in addition to grass cutting, we did have to clean up one property on Briar Hill in Green Valley Drive. I also included that on there too for collection through the tax duplicate. Hopefully that'll be the last one this year.
Did you say you gave one to them?
Yes.
Well,
Let me
add
just-
into number 7, it looks like. It's not on the agenda.
Okay.
Whoops, I'm sorry. I'm just now following it again. Any questions so far? Okay. We already did the 50th anniversary with Jan. Item number 6. Tim sent me a letter asking if we could consider improvements to the PA system, council chambers. And we've assigned Eddie the role of doing that. I'm just getting lazy. Eddie, everything goes Eddie's way now. That's the way it is. I finally ordered delegation, and he's very interested in doing this. And what we're going to do is basically you determine what you want, then you write specifications for it, then you go out to bid. What we'd like to do is make sure that if we're going to improve or modify the PA system, we know exactly what council wants. Tim has made a few suggestions in regard to ensuring that we have a quality audio and video system that also is easy to operate and control. That's one agenda. We also need probably better speakers and possibly better microphones and things like that. So we'll look at that as well. Basically, a replacement of all the equipment and an upgrade of all the equipment. A couple of questions. We're talking about council chamber. Do you want to consider anything like that in the caucus room?
My thought was get a system over there, and if it's in such a way that we also can have a recording system and both video and audio for here, so that if we're having a committee meeting and we want to be able to, record the minutes, or if anyone's having a meeting, Mayor, you might have any kind of meeting in here that it might be nice to, have a recording of it and stuff that, we'd be able to do it. Now, I don't want to have one that's over there and you got to carry it over here and vice versa, that kind of stuff. I mean, I'd want them two separate, or they can use the same something or another. I don't know, but
Yeah.
I don't think we need like microphones over here, because as long as the system can pick it up. If it's one of those system that can pick up sound, or maybe we need a microphone here and a microphone down there, or something that would pick up from each other.
Put them in the ceiling.
Or something like that. But it'd be nice to look into it and see what a cost would be on that. Whether we actually buy it, pay for it, would depend on the cost. But and then it'd also be nice if we could, the same way with, I guess, a video recording of it, that would be out there, that we'd have it and something. I'm thinking of like for a permanent record, we record the whole meeting. I'm almost kind of like what Becky's doing now, but be the city doing it, and that it would be there. It could be posted to the web. You know, it could be out there. It could be archived, whatever. So if 4, 5, 6 years from now, someone wants to go back to it, and, it would still be there. And stuff to see if someone was there or not there. So I don't remember if you were at that meeting or not. And, you can easily go back and, oh, there you are sitting in your chair. That kind of thing or something. If that was important for some reason, I don't know whether it be, but the whole idea too is like the microphones and so like that, so that each person up there and maybe the 2 desks down below and the podium, and then I even said maybe a microphone that could be out in the audience, so we have public hearings and things. If someone wanted to speak and they couldn't come up to the podium, or it was easier just to pass around when you're having a thing, it's easier just to go rather than have the person come up there and everything. You could pass it down the aisle or something like that. But just so you can hear and everyone can hear, because sometimes different people speak at different volumes, different levels, and if you have just a microphone sitting, like if the 3 of us, I might come out real loud, and Deb might come out real soft or whatever on the recording part of it. Even though we can hear, or you might be seeing my lips move, but you really aren't hearing what's coming out, kind of thing. So it'd be nice if we had individual controls on mics. And I'm thinking like when we have youth in government, you know how that is. Some of them kids are up there and they don't even need a microphone, and in others you can have that microphone up full blast and you still can't hear the kid. So those kind of things. It's just John, and I said, maybe we get. My original thing was get several different vendors in or whatever to look at what we have, what we might have, or right specs or whatever. Get out here, but get people here and let them see. Maybe they can use some of the equipment. Maybe we throw it all out and buy all new. I don't know. But when it's all said and done, I want it to work like it's supposed to work. And if it's not, I want my money back, or you know what I mean? It's one of the things where I don't want to pay for a bunch of stuff and we get it and it's like, it doesn't work, or you get feedback and all this kind of stuff. And
I agree.
It's just time to bite the bullet, and and I wanted to get this thing so that maybe we could get a price by next year. So we have it in the budget to do it, or if it's going to be real expensive, maybe we phase it in or something.
Well, maybe what we do is, first of all, I think we should prioritize that.
Right, first, yes.
I think what we can do is put an amount that we feel comfortable with, and maybe have a first indication would be adequate. And then, if in the process of, and just put it in the budget, probably put it in one of your line items in the building maintenance. And then, if that cost comes in lower than what we had anticipated, well, then fine. If that cost comes in higher than what we had anticipated, then we take a look at, okay, well, how much higher is it? Maybe we dial back some of the expectations of the system, or maybe we say, no, this is what we need, and let's go ahead and spend the extra, and and then council would appropriate whatever the difference would be from what we had originally budgeted to what the actual price tag could be. So I think I think we can put something like that in the budget, in a line item. And then, but that doesn't mean we have to rush through the process of evaluating exactly what it would be and how much it would cost. Let's put an amount in the budget in a line item, and then go through that process, and then we can base decisions after that off of what kind of feedback we get from the process.
John, do you have any record of what that old system cost?
It's put in so long ago, it wouldn't matter anymore.
I'm just thinking that there might have been some record of it.
Well, that video camera, I would think, should be compatible with just about anything we would want to do.
Well,
and it's a motion-sensitive camera as well, so I think that camera should be compatible with any audio-visual system that we would want to go with.
We'll utilize every piece of equipment we can as long as we have a sound workable system. So I'll email you just a guesstimate tomorrow.
Okay.
Put into the budget.
Okay.
But yes, I think we can do something like that. So, I'm sure. Yes.
Yeah. That's the only thing I was thinking. Maybe there was something on record of how much it's worth. And give you some ballpark figure to shoot for to
No.
give you some idea of what.
No,
they
this is a very unique
want to
system.
put in.
There's a guy in Newark, Doug Posey, he can probably give you a close estimate. I don't have his phone number here, but he's been in it for 50 years.
I'll give you a call. Okay. Cliff Show? He used to be here.
Just from a citizen standpoint, I do watch, on YouTube. If I miss the meeting, I try to always catch up. And I know if this is something that you're going to do in phases or just part of it, I would much rather be able to watch a committee meeting as I would a council meeting, because nothing goes on over there that hasn't been discussed over here. Am I supposed to anyway? So this is where everything's worked out, everything's discussed. You don't hear discussion over there.
Yeah, that's true.
And I'd much rather be able to see and hear what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at it from just the video aspect of it, yeah, you're probably right. I think probably maybe though where Tim and some of the council members are coming from is that audio system in there just stinks and needs to be replaced.
Well, what we'll do is we'll get alternates. That'll be the term to use to cover that as well. And then the council can determine which one they want to go for.
Yeah, I mean, I could see
Maybe
dropping maybe 4 mics from the ceiling right down this row.
Something like that can
Into,
prove it doesn't have to be high tech.
I mean, it's all going to be tied into the same recording system.
Right.
An amplification system. So the only different hardware you're going to have is a video and audio recorder in each room. So we'll just put it together and see, but that's a good point too.
Now, I don't know, a question that will have to be flushed out in all of this is the video file. How large are those video files, and are they too large for our website? I don't know the answer to that, but I know, you can't put up, 24 video files that are, humongous, and the website won't function well if we do that. So I can ask Jen to maybe look at that and see what the capacity would be for the city's website.
But we could also, as Tim was saying, save them. Maybe they can't all be on the website, but we can have another place to store the videos.
Oh yeah,
and
put them on a server.
Yeah, exactly. So that if someone would ever want to look at one, you can pull it out.
Yeah.
So.
And when we have our 100th anniversary, 50 years from now, they can pull those out of the archives. All right. Well, I think we have our mission. We have our direction. Thank you very much. And I'll let you work with Jenna on it.
Hey, John, Eddie sent me an email. We emailed back and forth, and he had a lot of really good questions that I said they're great questions I have no answers for, and everything. Because some of what do you want? What do you want? And it's like,
oh, I know. He started looking into this. So.
I mean, it's just so.
You get some experts.
Yeah.
Seasoned veterans.
Like I said, I just want it when I speak in the microphone, the people out there can hear. When they speak, we can hear, and it can get recorded so that if you play it back, you can actually tell it doesn't sound like Charlie Brown's teacher talking.
We may recruit John Mason into this too, because John has a lot of.
Yeah.
He's much more sophisticated in this area.
Yeah, Chief Mason is a big resource on that too.
So, all right, we've got it, guys. We'll go with it. We're trying not to make it expensive. The last item of business, I have one more that's not on the agenda. If you remember at the last month's street committee, Teresa McGinnis, who lives on Heath Road, attended the meeting and discussed with council the possibility of putting some kind of a pedestrian crossing across State Road 79 at the intersection of Heath Road and 79. We talked today, and I don't know if I said what you would want me to say, but I told her I would not make a recommendation to council to do that. I'd be very much opposed to it. And I gave her the reasons why. I'm not going to go into all the details. I can put that right into it. And I also told her something you may not be aware of, though, is that when we received federal money to straighten out that intersection, the money we were given was for congestion mitigation and pollution control reduction. And the intersection was designed to maximize traffic flow and reduce pedestrian usage. And we had public hearings before that project ever went into the planning stage. And at the public hearings, we specifically asked the public, would you have a problem if we remove the crosswalk? There wasn't any negative comments in regard to that. The public was fine with it. We also went to the school system at that time and asked the school system, Fulton School was overgrown. And the school had no problem with us removing the intersection. So based on where the money was coming from and how it was to be used, based on our goals to, first of all, create a safer intersection, and in no way is pedestrian crossing very safe on any area of state outside of town. And also to reduce traffic flow and reduce emissions. That's how this project went. And we had the public hearings to support it. So I told her that's why I would recommend to the council that you not consider. Of course, you can do anything you want to. I also invited her here tonight, and she was unable to attend. And she did say that she would like to attend the safety committee meeting next week. So she will be at the safety committee meeting to discuss the issue with her. Also, I even volunteered, and I did. I called the school system and asked the school system if they could arrange for busing for her son, which was the primary drive for her doing this. And they said, sure, we can. And I did that before I talked to her. And then when I talked to her, she indicated that her son was a senior, he'll be graduating soon, and that busing is available. And what brought this up was the school was on lockdown about a month ago and was forced to walk home and encountered this particular situation. So I am sympathetic to her plight. However, my recommendation remains as it is. We don't have a high volume of people who want to use that intersection. It's a dangerous intersection to use, and it was designed that way to reduce pedestrian traffic and increase traffic flow. And we did it with approval of the citizens of this community and the school. So just a little information for you.
Your comments to her, you said to reduce those in writing, so you have those in advance.
I will put those in writing for you, and I'll email them all to you. So, again, that's my feeling on it. That's what the history behind it. Yeah, however you decide.
How long ago was that intersection realigned?
Oh, over 10 years ago.
When you use federal money for projects like that, isn't there a period of time where if you do something that is, say, counterproductive to what the purpose of what was done, is there a potential that you would have to repay some of that money on projects like that?
That potential does exist. Whether or not it applies to this situation, I don't know. I'll try and find out.
One of the things depends on the period of time.
Yeah,
right? There's a period of time where you can't do something, but it's not infinite.
Because situations change. I'll see if I get information on that. That's a good point.
But if you sat there and walked at that intersection, I don't see how they could change it, because there's 3 turn lanes coming off of each road going toward Goshen Hill. And usually there's a car in each lane. And I've noticed one person that lives down past here, and I see them walking, and they walk up to the front of the that dealership, not one,
Hewlett?
yeah, Hewlett, and they cross there because it's
It's
safer.
safer, yeah.
Yes, it's safer to cross there than
It
it
is
is.
at the intersection. Well, it's just something for you to consider, but I advised her that I did not recommend it to you. I recommend it to stay there. So, just to let you know that. And thanks to Jan's brief presentation, and my trying to be brief. That's all I have, unless any of you have any questions.
Anybody have any questions for John?
I just was going to add one thing. What was it? A week ago yesterday, I think. They had an event at Conus Furniture. And then this past Friday, they had their official ribbon cutting. They've had a soft opening now for probably 2 or 3 weeks. And the information that they shared was that that they're very pleased with their sales numbers so far at their Heath store. So, and they also said that it was, although their process of redeveloping that property took quite a bit of time, that the help and cooperation that they got from the city, from John and Eddie's office, was very helpful and outstanding. So I just thought I would share that information. They've gotten off to what seems to be a really, really good start.
And he said, I was down there on the Sunday when they opened, and there's also John Council on the council on that tonight. And he said, there's no doubt that this city is the easiest one, or it's easier to work with than Janesville. So he was very satisfied with that. And the showing that Sunday was, he said, was 10 times more than we expected.
I mean, Natalie and I parked in the very back up against the fence.
That's what
That was all.
There's one other thing I want to say. You noticed a little display out in the lobby. It seems a little early for that. The reason being is that the family that allows us to use that will not be able to put it up when we do begin decorating this building. So they put it up ahead of time. It was so obviously last year. So it's a little early, but we didn't really have an option. You won't see a lot of other stuff going up here for a while. So we didn't get carried away. Didn't, just bear with us.
Okay, anyone else?
Yeah. And to John, I know, Heath is not a pedestrian friendly town, but and I don't know if they can be, but are there any statistics or fatalities in town, injuries that are pedestrian?
Have the report will be taken. I mean, you could go.
Harder to access that information that route. Probably easier to access through the police records.
The ones I seem to remember are pedestrians. I don't have any information on that. As the mayor said, that would probably not be impossible to find out, but it would be difficult. I don't think it's that high. I'm just guessing. I think primarily because we don't have a lot of crossings. But I don't know.
I know of 2 cases. One where it was in a rainstorm where a lady tried to rescue a cat out in 79 and she was hit by a car. And then somebody crossing over there by Ford and got hit right there. So I know that's 2 fatalities that I know of.
The only school fatality we've ever had with kids was at Custer Road and 30th Street. That's the only thing that I can remember since 1963.
And when I was talking with the school, I was advised that they prefer to bus students across 79, and they tell them, don't use the crosswalks, we'll bus you across. So that is a story right there. Even the school does not want their students to cross. Good question. I don't have a good answer.
And maybe, in the future, that's something that we consider, and more so than what we have. Because I'm sure that the pedestrian fatality rate is up there, not compared to other towns or anything. I don't think we're not whack with them, but as far as compared to vehicle.
The best way to cross the highway, like 79, is to go over it or go under it. And we've investigated both. And we almost had the Millennium Bridge, but the FAA killed that. And it's very difficult and costly to do that. So as an alternative, the best we can do is dissuade people from using that bridge also. It's not adequate. It's just the only thing we can come up with, not designed. That's why we don't pay a lot of, I don't want to say we don't pay a lot of attention to pedestrian traffic. We pay a lot of attention to it and try to dissuade it from crossing the road because of the dangers involved, until we can come up with a better answer than that grade crossings.
I've seen near the mall, I think, where 30th comes up, there's no pedestrian, no crossing signs, or was. Something that's ever enforced.
I doubt it. A jaywalking against them.
That's all.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Well, call it quits at 6:11. Thank you very much.
We can go right into finance. Everybody is ready. We're going to copy. Okay, we'll start at 6:11. No legislative requests. Heath, you got an update on
The impound lot auction brought in $14,508, and there were 2 items that were in evidence that I opted to sell on eBay instead of selling at that auction, and I listed them separately. I think I sent something to you guys. It was a PlayStation 3 and a 3D DVD player, both made by Sony. They were new in box, unopened, and the one sold for I don't remember, between $300 and $400, and the other one sold for about $150. And then there's eBay fees, PayPal fees, so forth. In round numbers, we probably got about $400 on top of the $14,500 that went to the law enforcement fund. And this was important to the law enforcement fund because the budget provides for the debt service on that camera system in the PD, and that fund was in the red, or was soon to be in the red. So this was important. Item 2, not on your agenda. Debbie and Becky have indicated the likelihood that we may need a special council meeting on December 22nd. Council meetings in December are going to be both of them early, with the first one being December 1st. And with payroll and so forth.
There's a lot of unique things that are paid out in December. And
so anyway, that would be the 4th Monday. You usually have committee meetings that night. If you could just plan to have a short one agenda item to pass the cleanup ordinance, that would be appreciated. And item 3 is under other items that is also not on your agenda, is the chair that Tim Kelly is sitting in. I was coincidentally in Sam's Club, I don't know, 3 weeks ago, and one of these chairs was sitting there, and I sat down in it, and I thought, oh, and I immediately realized that I needed a new chair for my computer at home, so I bought one. And subsequent to that, I got to looking at the condition of the chair in my office, and believing that we're gonna have a successor in there soon. I thought it might be nice to buy that individual a chair. So I had enough money in my budget to buy that chair. So I bought one for here too. So I'm sitting in virtually the same chair right now at home and here. But I was so impressed with that chair, and I noticed that when I sit down in this chair, I absolutely bottom out. Now that's maybe me because I'm portly, but these chairs I'm sure are original equipment for the building, 1971, and that chair, which is leather, it's made for big and tall. I didn't realize that, but it's made to really heavy duty, made to support weight. So I would think it would last. And they were only $159. I don't know how you can $159. And I would encourage you all to sit in that chair. I could see 14 of those around here. I don't know if you could, but I wanted you to at least see that I think I found a hell of a deal on chairs.
It is comfortable.
That deal, Keith, I know it runs a good ways into November, but
Yeah.
for some reason I'm thinking the 29th. For some reason that date sticks. I remember seeing it on the website.
There was some kind of special that's limited time offer, but
Yeah.
those will come and go. And they had a number of other chairs too, but that one impressed me. It was
Looking at the selection that Sam's had on their website for the price, I thought that was the best.
By the way, that's Lazy Boy. I think that's a pretty good name.
I've been calling that for years.
Yeah.
So you want to have a meeting the 22nd?
Of December.
Yes.
That's our public service.
Like a 5:25
I-
type of thing, 5-minute deal before.
Yeah, well-
start the second
Or
one.
we can do it at 5:30.
Go to 5:30 and then have
Before
his
committee meeting
immediately
afterwards.
following.
We could actually wait until the second meeting of December to announce that. The ladies may get things all wrapped up and
Not needed.
not need it, but I'm expecting that it may be necessary. So, and I wanted
be
to
safe and sorry.
yeah, I wanted to tip you off now.
Do you want me to have it very abbreviated? Does that help?
Service, that's a service.
Oh, service, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's not me.
Okay.
So, other than the tabled items, I don't know if you want to approach those.
Yeah, I like on the tabled items, if we could jump to number 2 first. If that's all right with everyone. If you got your council packet stuff, you want to go to
Talking about 81-24.
Yeah. 81, 2014. Did everyone, I mean, I know that there were some different emails sent back and forth about it and everything in the box, so if anyone's, there's, the first page is, the ordinance is like how it would read. The back of that kind of strikes out and shows you the different wording that is going to go into it, how it came about, and then the explanation is that next page that David gave an explanation of what's going on and stuff. Does anyone have any questions about it? Want to make any changes or anything that anyone has seen? So we can do one of two ways. We could any of the wording we could change now before it's read, and it becomes that way, without having to do an amendment. If we read it tonight for the first time and then we find mistakes, we just have to amend before we pass it. And if we pass it this way and then later on we find something different, we can just do another ordinance and amend it again like we just are amending this one. So I guess I'll speak for Jeff and Deb and I. We thought that employees, if they wanted to run for an office, should have the ability to do, just like Deb and I work for the city of Newark, and we can be a council person in Heath. We thought that if someone was working for the city of Heath and they wanted to, if they could legally hold an elected position somewhere else, they should be allowed to run. Or if they wanted to run and then get elected and then quit the Heath job to do the elected job, they should be able to do that. The way the old ordinance was, they really couldn't do that. They couldn't run for office while they were, for instance, if any city employee would want to run for, let's say, mayor of Heath, the way the current thing, they wouldn't be allowed to do it unless they quit their job at Heath first. This way they could run, and if they got elected, quit their Heath job and become the mayor. If they didn't get elected, they could still keep their Heath job. So that was kind of our thought process. Or even a township trustee or whatever they might want to do, as long as it's legally allowed by the other other laws and stuff out there. They'd have to check to make sure that if they ran, that they weren't
Now, if they get a full-time position in the city or whatever,
right,
then they have to resign.
More likely they
One
couldn't.
or the other.
Right. Yeah, they'd have to decide, do I really want that job or this job, They'd have to know that going into it,
Tim, what
Yes.
about school board? If a city employee wanted to run for school board, is that allowed?
I think it is. I mean, the way we got it here, they would
Under
be
current rules,
under current rules and stuff. They'd be allowed
Under the
to.
old rule, they wouldn't.
Under the old rule, they
No,
wouldn't
I-
have been able to.
I was
but-
on there, see, and I had to quit when I took the council.
Right, because you can't be two elected positions at the same time. So, but had you just
Have you
I'll
been
just
an
say, like,
employee like
You
Nick?
know,
Nick couldn't
Nick-
run for the city school board the way this thing is
I
now.
know, he said that they could have, when we met, there was a reason, that they said that was, would have been okay, but didn't, I don't know who in our whole committee said it, but
and I
they
was
said, yeah,
really,
you could have done
I
that,
was
yeah.
really kind of confused about the way
well,
they-
and of course the old one said it refrain or I mean, it was kind of, what did it say? It said employees shall refrain from seeking. It didn't say they couldn't seek or couldn't accept. So essentially, if someone currently would want to apply for it, they could, and they could be disciplined, but there's no. It's just disciplinary. It's not really hard fast rule in there. What happens if you violate? Right. That's the thing we talked with David too. Was like, it's like refrain from doing it. It's like, but if you want to do it, good. So anyhow, these are the changes we made, and I guess.
I just wanted to say the one concern I had, and I expressed in our little committee, was every policy I've seen for any public employee, state, county, local, has prohibited partisan politics. And we didn't do that in this, but I feel comfortable that the law director has vetted that and said that we don't have to say that. I don't know why that was put in, and I tried to research and find out what the history was and why, any public employee seems to be prohibited from partisan activities. Because I, as a public employee, before I retired, working for the county, would not have been able to do this had this been partisan. So anybody working in the county that lives in Newark could not be on city council. I was able to do this because this is a nonpartisan board. So I don't know what the reason was, and I don't know why that's in place, but David has, researched that and said that it's okay, so.
We put it in the charter back in the 80s. We went to the charter, and that's what at least it allowed you to do that.
Yeah, we're nonpartisan. Yeah.
Yeah, that's in the charter. Is that the part that you were?
No,
you
what
were-
my
yeah, she
concern
was
was,
counting
if
the
we open
sides.
this up, then a Heath City employee could be running for a partisan office somewhere else, not here. But they could run, they live in Newark, they could
Yeah.
run for city council in Newark. And my concern was, there's been a reason that's in place, and I don't know what that is. And I researched and I tried to find it, and I couldn't find it, but, David is our legal representation, and he.
Yeah. And maybe state law or something like that will restrict them from doing it, but we're not going to.
No,
Luckily,
I
we're not
think
going
there's
to.
other
Yeah, there could be other.
municipalities, It's like, and I don't know if it's just been carryover. People have looked at the Hatch Act and thought this is the way it should be, and we're going to, because, I had employees who had asked me about wanting to stuff envelopes in a governor's race, and they were not allowed when I worked for the county because they said that's partisan politics and they couldn't do it. And I'm not saying that's right. I'm just saying that. I was concerned about why that was there, and if we aren't doing that, I wanted to be sure we were okay with that.
No. The way you have this drawn up, though, this would allow them to, I mean, this talks about Heath. This is outside of Heath, too. This opens that door for them to run the local office outside of Heath.
It says including each city government.
Okay.
So allow city employees to accept nomination and election of any governmental office.
That would include, sorry. Thank you.
But
I don't know if this is actually written the way it's supposed to be.
I'm looking at the.
The one on the back,
I'm
with
looking at the
everything
back
dirt,
side,
should. I thought they were going to redo that exactly the way it would look when it was done, because the front is like how it is now.
There were 4 items before on the front. Now there's 3. Under prohibited activities.
Yeah, but it doesn't.
Because it strikes employees shall refrain from seeking or accepting nomination or election to any governmental
So
office.
2 becomes 1, 3 becomes 2. Yeah, but 2 isn't right on the front because it says employees should not circulate petition on behalf of any.
Yeah, you're right.
And it's supposed to say except those seeking nomination. It's not.
So Tim, on the back side of the page, is that how you envisioned it reading? Is
Yeah,
that
but-
how you
but-
envisioned the ordinance being?
Right, but get rid of all the crossed out stuff and renumber it and everything.
Yeah.
We're missing some of the.
This is actually the accurate part on the backside.
Yeah.
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 They didn't carry forward.
I recognize the front. That was something I submitted to you as a recommendation. I recommended that you consider not permitting Heath city employees to run for Heath city government offices. And I think this back one does allow that.
Yes, it does.
And that would be an unusual circumstance. That would be a stretch compared to anybody else what they would permit. The point that I guess I initially made to you guys was that it was perhaps over regulation of city employees not to permit a city employee that worked in Heath not to seek political office outside of Heath government.
If that person lives in Muskingum County and wants to run
be
for
a
Muskingum
clerk of-
County Commissioner, go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know how this ended up
it's not
getting
right.
getting.
It is right now.
But this was what I pitched to you and sent to you, and I think it's verbatim. I think that's my work.
Yeah, I would caution council in approving an ordinance that allows current city employees to be engaged in a campaign for a city office. I would also caution allowing current city employees to be engaged in a campaign for political offices that may hold some level of jurisdiction over the city. For instance, I don't know that I would allow a current city employee to run for county commissioner in Licking County, because in some respects, county government has some jurisdiction over the Heath. I don't know that I would allow a current city employee to run for state representative or for state senator.
But they'd have to give up their city
governor.
job once they got elected. They'd have to give up their city job.
And that's why I'm being careful to articulate. I would not allow a current city employee to engage in a campaign to run for city office or Licking County Commissioner or state rep of our area. That's my opinion. I think I'd be very curious to know if there's any other municipalities that would allow current employees to run for elected offices within their municipalities. it seems like an odd thing.
Well, Newark did, because I did. So obviously, it's
No, you
done.
didn't do
No,
it.
you did not run for Newark City Council.
Well, you didn't say Newark. You just said county commissioner and all them other places.
No,
You could
no.
run for county commissioner, probably, is what he's saying.
I don't know if you can as a Newark employee or not. What I'm saying is I think we ought to refrain from allowing current city employees to run for Heath City elected offices. Again, and those offices that could hold some jurisdiction over this municipality, which would be county commissioners, state rep, state senator, governor. Those are the ones that just come to my mind right away.
Why wouldn't you, if you had a great city employee, why wouldn't you want them to become a county commissioner, and then they might support Heath when they became a county commissioner? They might say,
because there would be opportunity for conflict of interest.
okay, let's say they quit their Heath job, they get elected county commissioner. Now there's no, you think, but you have
Absolutely.
to quit the job.
If they
Then
quit
what
their
if they
job,
get elected? Now you just lost that great employee. What if Kim Geller, that's the tax commissioner, wanted to run for auditor? Right now she can't run for auditor because she'd have to quit the tax commissioner job to do it currently. Okay? Let's say she quits, runs for it, she doesn't get elected auditor, now she's out of a job, and we just lost a great tax commissioner because of that. But if she ran, they get elected, she could still be the tax commissioner. Same way if you took John Geller and Bob Geller and wanted to run for mayor and everything. Right now they can't run for mayor, but if this was passed, they would be allowed to run for mayor if they so choose. If they got elected, they become mayor, they quit their director's job. If they don't get elected, they're still right in there doing what you want. I think you're trying to hold back people from advancing themselves just because they're, a city employee. I mean,
I think what I'm trying to do, Tim, is I'm trying to prevent potential conflict of interest. Not just in when the election is completed, but in the campaign for that office as well. That's my opinion, Tim. And like I said, I would be curious to know what other municipalities allow their current city employees to run for elected office within their own municipalities. I'm not sure that it's...
You can't run because you don't live in Newark.
right. I don't live in
City
it.
council.
But if you lived in Newark and worked where you work, could you run for elective office in Newark? Or could you run for elective office?
I do not know. I think I could. I don't know why I couldn't. If I actually lived in Newark, I was a citizen in Newark. I mean, if I got elected, I'd have to give it up. If I ran, I'd have to give up.
Could you run for county commissioner right now if you were in Newark?
I don't know. I don't know that question.
I'll bet you'd be surprised. I bet you're not permitted to do that.
Those are some scenarios that the committee didn't bring up.
Yeah.
But these, I think, kind of go in line with the things I was saying about the partisan politics, and it's kind of, I think, makes me wonder if some of those things are why we don't see that.
concept. Somebody that works in our tax office doesn't even live in Licking County, can't even run for township trustee.
That was kind of the genesis of this idea. Which is that scope is quite a bit different than when you're talking about a current city employee being allowed to run for an elected office in this municipality.
And you've opened up Pandora's box. Keep way to go.
Ronnie, go ahead.
As written, am I to understand that an employee of the Parks Department could run for council and be also chairman of the Parks Department?
No, they couldn't be on
No.
both. They got to
No.
quit
Once they
their
got
job
elected, if they got elected council, they'd have to quit their job.
Quit their job in the
Yes.
city.
But they could run while they're still on it, and then they got elected. But if they didn't get elected, they could still be on parks. I mean, they could still be a park employee or whatever. Well, okay, let me ask you this. Let's say at the end of the career, they're getting ready to retire. If they're getting ready to retire, and everything, and they say, well, you'd be like, but you got to file, ahead of time and everything.
Right.
And let's say the next time that job was going to come up would be another 4 years or something. It may never happen. Here's the question I pose to you guys. If we leave it the way it is, and it says refrain, the way the current one says refrain, let's say Nick decides he's going to run and everything, and the mayor says, well, Nick, the thing says refrain, and he goes, well, I tried to refrain myself, but I couldn't. I had to go get the position. What's the mayor going to do? Again, I mean, what's the penalty? There is no penalty section. It doesn't say it costs you $100. It doesn't say you can be fired. I mean, it's a disciplinary action, so I guess it's going to depend on how you want to discipline. Then it'd probably be a union thing because you're taking out of him because maybe he took out petitions to run for something. You know what I'm saying? It could be a whole ball of wax, but I'm just saying, I don't think it's going to happen one way or the other. I don't think it's going to be a big deal. But I don't think the front is written the way it's supposed to be written. It was supposed to be done here, so I think what we need to do.
I guess.
When David gets here, I'll talk to him. But I think
if the intent is to allow current city employees to be a candidate for elected office in the city of Heath, then the backside is right.
Right.
If the idea is to allow current city employees to run for basically any office other than City of Heath elected offices, then the front side is almost right.
Right.
It doesn't specifically say you can't do it, but if you can't use your influence publicly and you can't circulate petitions or publicly campaign and you can't give or receive money, you're kind of saying that, in those measures. So, like I said, that's how I read it. It depends on what your intent is. Is your intent to allow current city employees to run for any elected office, or just those elected offices that are not in the city of Heath?
what you think.
The question I had, I wonder if this came in effect. Wasn't at one time, didn't the city only hire employees that lived in the city, and then they dropped that and they started hiring outside the city? Didn't I see something in the civil service or something somewhere, a charter or something? I think at one time.
I think there's been some preference given in civil service tests for residency, but I don't.
That was so long ago that it wasn't true that way.
Yeah.
Well, I know it wasn't true now, but
Oh, you're thinking maybe that's why it was worded that way.
We
lived in Heath, right?
Well,
I think at one time.
Chet, I can tell you right now that Chet gave not only the preferential points that civil service would have allowed, but his own actions would have been such. His own discretion would have leaned that way.
Yeah, you don't have to tell me that. I didn't know. Like 10 years before I got my job.
Well, Chet thought it really was important.
Yeah.
That the Heath citizens get these Heath jobs.
Illegal today, but.
Well, not if it's a discretionary thing, and Chet was sly enough that he wouldn't have been. He'd say, "Well, why would I hire somebody from there?"
Yeah. I think we'll get a clarification from the law director.
He's here now and everything. Why don't
come on in.
This isn't really time sensitive.
It is not.
Or anything. So why don't I'll talk to you, but I think I want to just pull it from tonight's agenda so we don't even read it for the first time. Well, I don't want to table it. I'd rather just pull it. That way when it does come on the table, it comes in the right form. The way we want it.
Well, the we might be different as
Well,
you
the
go
we-
around the table.
Right.
It would, I think you could come close to resolving this really quickly by kind of taking a straw poll. The linchpin on this seems to be whether you want to allow city employees to run for each city office or not. It's, and if
And if there's any precedent, any other community around that has anything like this. Tim, you're not sure about the city of Newark. Okay.
I don't know. I don't live in Newark, so I didn't, it didn't really
I think it
affect me,
makes
so
for an
I didn't,
awkward situation. We really didn't cover that very
Yeah.
detail in our committee.
I guess my thought was
I'd like to
just
get a
that,
clarification from the law director.
think about
If I had
all
to
the
decide.
city there's 10 city council members and a president of council, and known a whole bunch of them going way back. When was any of those city employees that ran for office? And I can't think of a one. I've known a whole bunch of them, and
Well, if you leave
there were some county employees that came and became
Mark-
council people and stuff like that and stuff, but I'm just in Newark, I don't.
anyway, I'll bet you there's something that prohibits that. I'll just bet you there is. Anyway, I think everybody's in agreement that if you're a city employee, you live in Muskingum County, want to run for dog catcher there, you probably don't care. So the real key question is city employees running for Heath city office or not.
Well, and beyond to what Mark said, things that are directly your area, like the county commissioner, the state rep, and the state senator, and those kinds of things, should that be excluded?
I mean, think about it. Right now, they can't run for anything, anywhere.
Yeah, right. No, they only have to refrain from running.
No, you know, they.
Yeah.
Which if it don't, if it's not even in this county, you could refrain from doing anything about it.
Yeah.
The mayor wouldn't have to act on it.
Well, if it became a disciplinary, just as an example, if the mayor, you decided to run, all right, and he said, "Hey, Nick, says you're supposed to refrain from running. I'm advising you to do so right now," and you said, "I'm not going to do that. I'm going to continue on." Well, then the next thing you could progressively say, "Nick, I told you not to do this. I'm going to give you a day off without pay," and go through whatever the progressive this and at some point in time, if you don't follow the rules that we have, he's going to have the power to terminate you under that circumstance. And Tim's right; the union would be the whole thing.
The grievances all over the place.
So, but the bottom line, if we have rules written that are clear about the refraining from doing anything, it just becomes a progressive disciplinary issue, and would be like anything else.
About refrain. Stop
We came through and went down.
oneself from doing something.
If you feel like
Refrain.
Maybe we can get rid of that adjective.
It's a verb.
Have everybody.
That verb.
You know that because it tells you.
That's correct.
The way you have proposed it, though, essentially, I mean, would prevent them from running for any position in the city of Heath. Although they'd still be able to run for Congress or Senate or state rep or anything like that.
If laws would
Commissioner,
permit that,
the way you have it drafted, they would still be able to run for county commissioner or any of those. The way you specifically showed it.
If it's not time sensitive, I don't want to find out.
Well, that's what I said. Let's just pull it from tonight.
yes.
Just pull it completely, and we can go back to. We can talk about it in committee again and everything. There's no. I mean,
We didn't really cover the.
we just wanted to get something out because we've been, toying with this for a while. It's like when we get something on the table.
to develop conversation and use specific.
Yes, we did, didn't we? So when it comes to caucus time, we'll talk about scratching that.
Anything
Okay.
else for finance?
Yeah, one
Well-
other thing, an ordinance that is on the agenda, and I think needs to stay on the agenda, is the approval of the tentative collective bargaining agreement with the officers and sergeants.
Either way, then.
Everybody, no.
Do you need to talk
I
about it?
emailed, before the meeting started, I emailed to everybody an electronic version of the proposal. The changes are as outlined. Bargaining unit members who are engaged basically in the collective bargaining process currently have to take the time that they spend in that process off immediately. We'll allow them to comp it because that's a much less clumsy way of handling it.
Mayor, should we talk about this in executive session instead of?
No. I mean it's going to be on the agenda. I mean I'll print out one hard copy because I think there should be one hard copy with the ordinance. I just didn't want to kill a bunch of trees.
Did they already approve it?
It's my understanding, yes, they did.
Okay. Are you talking about 80?
Yes.
Okay.
A change in Article 26 allows the stress day that they're allowed to take must be taken during their regularly scheduled work hours, and cannot be used for blacked out dates, which the chief every year puts together a list of dates where they can't go on vacation, like Star Spangled Celebration and those kind of dates. Just with a change where we have an insurance committee a committee of employees where we meet to discuss
changes and renewal of our insurance. Currently says it will meet 120 days in advance of any renewal, and that's way too much time. The city doesn't even have its information by then, so we're changing that to 30 to 60 days. Article 40 under the salary and pay, effective April 1st. Increases for the 3 years will be 2%. Officers who act as field training officers, meaning those who train newly hired officers, when they're in an FTO status, will get 50 cents per hour additional. If an employee drives a personal vehicle, say to the shooting range or to court, they get reimbursed 55 cents a mile, which I believe is the current federal amount, for the difference between their home and the destination. Subtract the distance from home to work. The on-call detectives will get 4 hours of overtime when they are on call for the week. And we increased the starting pay for our new officers to the range of $17 to $20.50 an hour. That's in an effort to garner better candidates when we test. The contract will be in effect till March 31st, 2017. And when we start up negotiations again, yay, we can notify each other by electronic mail. And then finally, our officers work what's called special duty assignments, like high school football games or basketball games, out at the Port Authority, whatever. It's not something that really impacts the city in any way unless they're using a car as part of that special duty, in which the city does get compensated for that. But the bargaining unit will be able to establish the special duty assignment policies, provided that the rules don't conflict in any way with officers being able to perform necessary city-related duties / responsibilities, and provided that the rules do not conflict with and cannot supersede the terms and conditions set forth in this agreement. So those are the changes in the new contract. You all have an electronic copy. Tim, I'll print off front and back hard copy for the ordinance. You know, she reads it for tonight, so she'll have that with that. And if anybody has any questions on that.
I was going to say she has this part. I mean, it's 80.
What part are you looking at, Tim? I'm sorry.
This ordinance 80, 2014?
Yes.
Yes.
Front where we sign it, right? Well, we're just gonna read it tonight, we're not gonna waive or anything like that, right?
No, yeah, we'll have the second reading in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Now, and the only modifications that I can think of that would be very minor. The attorney in the pay chart, has the dollars for the salaries. Debbie Whitefield's on vacation right now, and when she gets back, she'll double check those, and if there's any changes to that, we'll let you know. You can approve it as amended. They would be very minor changes, like maybe a penny or two other than that. And that was it. I'm sorry.
Okay. We're still in finance committee, right?
Right.
Yes.
Okay. And we have two topics that probably require executive session.
Right.
Do you want to do that now or after caucus?
What is that topic?
If we do caucus, then we go executive session to do that. Let's do that. Let's get out of finance, go into executive session, or not go to caucus, and then.
Okay.
All right, we'll dismiss, adjourn the finance at 6:50.
I'll email you that, what I emailed. Okay, good. Thanks.
You're on.
All right, we'll do caucus real quick. Invocation is Mr. Morrow, I think. No?
Later. Sure.
room. You guys just do that to make me have to scratch up my paper.
Did you look at the minutes from the last meeting?
I just kind of try to remember and just.
So we didn't do that. You did. And you owe me $10.
Ooh, you're right. Good thing you remember because I didn't have that down.
I know you did.
All right, I'll forget. Go ahead. Let's see. Going to special orders and committees. Mayor, those are both yours, I assume.
Correct. One's a proclamation declaring November as Hire a Veteran Month. And then the other one is a proclamation regarding the Heath High School's recent production of a play named Under the Stars, which was written by currently a Heath sophomore named Olivia Hirschman. There will be people, I think, to accept both of those proclamations.
Okay, good. Unfinished business, none. Petition communications. We need to do that grass and weeds. That'll be Mr. Henry. Of course, your committee reports. Then introduction of ordinances. Ordinance 80, 2014. We'll hold that for a second reading. And then we're going to pull ordinance 81, 2014, so we won't even read it. I'll have not even read that. Ordinance on second reading. The 78 is for the 15,000. That would be Euclidus.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to accept that or approve that. And then 79 is the fire materials and supplies refund. I guess you want to do that, Brian?
Yeah, good.
And then resolution on the second reading, the solid waste district management plan. That you, which one is that? Is that you, Dick?
Yeah.
Mr. Morrow would do that one. And then reading of the bids, we'll have Heath do that. And that's pretty much it. Anything else for caucus? If not, I'd like to go into executive session. One for, I guess, personnel, and I guess personnel and wages.
Both of them are personnel.
Personnel and wages, yeah, personnel.
So moved.
So Jeff makes the motion and second by Nick. Great one.
Can we take 2 minutes break?
Yeah. Yeah, why don't you, special relations, whatever we have.